Do you get to the Cloud District very often? What am I saying? Of course you don't. So, what are we doing today? As alluded to previously, a wine kit, but not just any wine kit, one specifically from Italy. Well, not the wine kit, but the grape juice from the grapes from Italy. So, Brunello style. I have not even opened it. It's completely taped up, so bear with me. Ooh. So these are, looks like probably chips or more of a dust. So that's cool because it'll stay on top, but settle down and become part of the sediment at the bottom. Probably, I would imagine it'll be added after racking the first time, so that won't get touched today. Or maybe it will, I have no idea. Next, we have our bag of goodies. Obviously, our one clearing agent and our other clearing agent, so we'll set those aside. Bentonite, well, we know that gets added like immediately. And our sorbate sulfite, those will get added after racking. And it looks like, what do you know? EC1118. Who would have thought that a wine kit would have EC1118? Oh, that's right. Everyone, because it's in every wine kit. I don't think there's anything else in here, so I'm going to go ahead and just look over the instructions. Of course, we'll want to save these. So I'll set them right over there. What do we need? That's right. We need a fermentation vessel. For this, I'm going to just conjure one in. Maybe you need some room. Move that over. Big mouth bubbler to start. I love using big mouth bubblers, especially if it's not going to stay in there. For our racking, what we'll do is we'll leave it in a glass carboy, like a nice 6-gallon carboy. But to start, to make it easy to mix and to get it out, big mouth bubbler. Probably going to be big length. So I won't even have it on my hand. I'll just conjure right here in front of me. Okay, that worked. I'll just set it over here. Set it right here. Okay, so what do we need to do first? We should probably get a solid half-gallon of warm water and mix the bentonite in. I'm going to do that real quick and we'll be back. Okay, so 8 cups of warm or fairly hot water is basically the hottest my tap will go. I'm going to pour that bentonite in there and shake really well. this bad boy in there. All right, set that aside. Of course, next is the hardest part. I don't think I'm a weakling, but this is always the hardest part for me. If it is for you, you can always get a friend to help you. 16 liters in a bag is kind of hard to control. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and empty out what we can, leave a little bit, slosh it around, get all the grape juice, all the sugars out and into here. So bear with me. So the part where I recapped it and tried to use the juice to rinse around doesn't look like it had as much effect as I would have liked. So we're going to take the water that we put in here and use that to try and rinse out whatever residual sugar we can. We want to use all the sugars from the grapes, otherwise it's sort of wasted money. Okay, so we can see what the 8 cups plus the other half gallon I added comes to almost the 5 gallon mark. We want it at 6 gallons. I'll double check. Yes, this is a 6 gallon wine kit. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what all wine kits are that are this size. They're 6 gallons. Or they're 3 gallons if they're a really sweet dessert wine. But, you know, why not double check, you know? So let's go ahead and add the rest of this and then possibly another whole spring water in there. Definitely not another whole spring water. We're already at almost 5.5 gallons, so. Okay, it is at 6 gallons, precisely 6 gallons. Now we're gonna go add the, oak. Not as heavy as I was expecting, smell-wise. Now I'm just gonna get a sanitized spoon and stir it. Of course, I forgot that we need to measure the original gravity. So for that I'll need a hydrometer. Perfect, hydrometer. A graduated cylinder. And turkey baster. All right. I am loving the color of this grape juice. Let's go ahead and find out what the starting gravity is. Okay, so starting gravity is 1.092. It's gonna go dry. This is a dry wine. So let's plan on that. If you don't want to make a dry wine and just want to watch the video, have at it. If you love dry wines, dry Italian wines, or want to try something new, want to follow me along with doing this, hey, I'm all for it. This is exactly why I'm making the video. So 1.092. There is a place to mark that on the instructions, and I will do that later. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, good. And I'll just pour this back in. Wood chips, they don't taste that good. I'll be back after I wash my hands. The juice, by the way, was great. So I have a good feeling about this wine. Stay sanitary, wash your hands. Clean hands now. Okay, so the last thing we're gonna do as far as this part of the process is adding the yeast. Our EC1118. Brand is Lauvlin, just in case you wanted to know. And what it wants us to do is sprinkle the yeast right on top. With my meads, I'm sure you've seen, it just, I guess what I'm used to is rehydrating the yeast, where I would take a sugar water of some sort and mix the yeast in there and let it get used to that environment, and then dump it in here after it's kind of made a slightly bigger colony, so it can continue to colonize and then start the fermentation process. But with this, it always has you just sprinkle it on top. You don't mix it, nothing. So the last step that we are going to do is take our top, of course, place that on. And get, I thought I had an airlock around here somewhere. I'm very forgetful. I should name this channel the Forgetful Mage, but I guess I'll just use more conjuration here. Airlock. All right, here we go. And of course, it's not filled with any star sand. So maybe next time I can conjure one in that's pre-filled, but I'm gonna go ahead and fill this and be right back. Okay, full There's a line to fill it up to. I am slightly above that line. It's not a huge deal. So we are officially done. I guess what I'll have to do now is set this aside. Just like so. Of course you can't see it, it's out of the picture now, but it's right here. So in the meantime, it looks like I'll just return this troll skull and see you in 14 days. Maybe I'll keep it, who knows. But yeah, I guess let's do a little time travel. Looks like my time travel worked perfectly. It's 14 days after, so we're gonna go ahead and rack it. And if you don't remember what that means, it's just taking it from one vessel and putting it into another. For my case, I'm gonna take it out of the big mouth bubbler and put it into a 6-gallon glass carboy. If you've watched any of my other videos where I use glass, I'm extremely cautious, and there's a good reason for it. When you're dealing with 6 gallons or even 5 gallons of liquid, it's always a good idea to be very cautious. If your container breaks, you accidentally knock it on something, it could shatter. And I've had that happen. Luckily there wasn't wine in it, but if there is, even worse. So I'm going to be taking my time. It's obviously real light now. I would always hold it from the bottom if possible. And as you can see, it's full of foam because I just sterilized it with some star sand. It's just good practice to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take our wine here and rack it. Now, before I do, I'm just going to spare you the video of what I did previously to make sure it was done. We started at a gravity of 1.092. and currently it is 0.992, which means it is dry. It is not fermenting anymore. There are literally no more bubbles. There hasn't been for about a day or two. It fermented really well. It's a good kit. So we're gonna go ahead and rack it. Now, I'll also tell you that the difference in gravity when calculated is about 13%, 13.1, 13, I'll just say 13, which is a nice good percent for our wine. So let's go ahead and rack this. Okay, so 12 minutes later, I have a nice thick towel. I'm gonna put this, I'm sure, extremely heavy 6-gallon glass carboy on. So bear with me. If you do the same thing, it's really heavy, you may need help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. They're very hard to grip. So take your time when you do it. Okay. It is, I mean, just about full. When I put the sorbate and the metabisulfate in today and mix it, it still has a decent amount of room. And then tomorrow, I will film again then. When I put these in, I want to say it's gonna reach the neck, which is perfect. It won't leave enough room for any oxidation over any time of sitting. If you have too much room, it's probably not a good thing, but if it's at the neck of the carboy, you'll be just fine. Even the way it is now, as I brought it up, I'm sure you saw, if I didn't add anything else to it, it would be fine with that amount of space in there. So let's go ahead and add some sorbate and metabisulfate. We're going to go ahead and use our stirring device, in this case a degassing wand, to stir it and degas it. It'll just make sure that you take the air all the way out, as well as mixing it. The instructions say to mix it for 2 minutes with a drill, 2 minutes, 30 seconds in each direction, reversing. I'll probably mix a little more. If you don't have a drill attachment and you want to use one of these and do it by hand, you're going to be there for like 10 minutes. So, I mean, you use what you have, but this just makes it a lot easier. We'll be back. It is all stirred. I give it about 5 minutes, switching back and forth in direction every 30 seconds or so. Probably overkill, but I mean, once gas is all the way out, it's not going to do anything else. And the sorbate and sulfite are definitely stirred in nice and well. So I'm going to go ahead and put a holeless bung right in the top there. I may have to get a different bung if this one doesn't fit. It doesn't seem to want to go in all that well, so I'll put a different one in. You could take a bung with a hole in it, and no jokes, a bung with a hole, and put your 3-piece or 1-piece or whatever airlock you have in there. You shouldn't really have any extra gas coming out. My airlock, I know, isn't necessary. There will be no gas because it is done fermenting. So I'm just going to put a bung with no hole, and that way it keeps everything out. If there is a teeny bit of gas left over, it's surely not going to be enough to push the bung out, and it'll create a nice little layer on top of the wine to make sure that it doesn't have any air exposure. So we are done with racking. We'll come back tomorrow to add our clearing agents. That will be a very short process. So that'll be day 15. See you then. Hey, I'm assuming it is one day after our previous little adding of sorbate and sulfite. So I think it's time for clearing agents. Let's see if my magic still works here. No? I'll leave that later, I guess, but that is not going to help us clear the wine. Let's try it again. Ah, okay, so this will not help us clear the wine, but it is a really cool label. It says Sangiovese, or however you pronounce it. I'll have to look that up, but it is the type of grape that this is made with. Now, as a Brunello style, I'm pretty sure the region this grape comes from, and of course this wine, would be Italy, specifically Tuscany. So if it's not quite Tuscany, it should be around Tuscany, but we'll just say it's a Tuscan wine or Tuscan grape. Well, those are the instructions. Maybe if I search around somewhere. Oh, look at that. No wonder I couldn't get it to manifest. They're right here. So the instructions are going to tell us how we're going to add the clearing agents. If you know what you're doing, awesome. I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen, but I always want to read these to make sure. So it says to add in the first one here, and then stir in the other one about an hour later. So basically, I'm going to spare you all of that. I'm just going to go ahead and start with this. You don't need to see me do it. So just take my word for it that we're going to go ahead and add the first one, and then the second one that comes in the smaller pack. I have my glass carboy sitting on the really thick towel. So that does two things. It protects it from the granite countertops that I have here. Glass, anything hard does not mix, but also allows me to turn it. Probably about a week into it clearing, I'm going to give it a nice quick twist one way. That was me twisting the wine carboy, not snapping a neck, so just so that's clear. So yeah, I'll give it a quick twist, and what that will do is all the sediment will fall down, but regrettably every time there's some that sticks to the side. With a big mouth bubbler, if you were to finish in that and have that as your secondary racking device, it would offer a lot more places for sediment to stick to on the wall, because it sort of caves in and out 3 different times along the wall all around it. Now this one is completely flat, so I don't think much will stick to the side, but no matter what vessel you have it in, giving a nice, quarter turn, maybe one way and then the other, will loosen that sediment up around the wall, and then give it another week and you're good to go. The last thing we want, other than breaking glass with liquid in it, is to have sediment in our finished product. So we're going to do everything possible to make sure that does not happen. So I'm going to call it the end of this video. I'm going to go ahead and add this, and then an hour later I'll add the next one. If you're following along and doing the same wine kit, feel free to do the same thing on day 15. And I will see you in 2 weeks on day 30-ish, 29. Welcome to whatever day this is. I don't even know how long it's been. I believe this is 14 days after the racking, which means we are ready to bottle. There's a couple things I'm going to do today. You could bottle right from the glass carboy. I would not recommend that. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Let's see, 15. Looks like we're at day 30-ish, about 30. So day 30, 14 days after clearing. So the wine is clear, but you wouldn't know it because it's so dark. It's like black. But basically what we are going to do is remove the liquid from our glass carboy, and we're going to siphon it into a bottling bucket. Now, if you're used to brewing beer, this is something they do a lot for that. it has a spigot at the bottom, and we'll attach a small little tube too. And of course that will have a bottling wand. Everything's getting caught right now. Anyway, we'll have a little bottling wand at the bottom of that tube so that we can bottle right from the bucket. That allows us to easily fill our bottles up from the spigot, but it also allows us to make sure that we don't accidentally get any sediment from the bottom of our glass carboy. So I can basically siphon off as much as I need without getting any sediment into the bucket, and then I can siphon everything from the bucket without having to worry that any sediment is in there to get into our bottles. So let's begin. And I'm going to spare you the details. We'll come back after it's in the bucket. I took everything out of the glass carboy and siphoned it into this bottling bucket. So we are actually ready to use our bottling wand to get it into our wine bottles. Of course, from that angle you can't see, so let's see if I can get a better angle here. Okay. So right now I'm just compressing the bottom of the bottling wand. When I let go, it'll stop the flow of wine. And then we just simply move on to the next one. And we'll come back when the next step happens. Got everything bottled. I'm taking a bottle. I'm going to show you two different ways that you can cork it. First is with the hand corker, which doesn't take a lot of effort. We've done this before on this channel. This is what I normally use. Today, however, I have a special treat. We're going to use a floor corker as well. A hand corker actually does a real good job of getting it in there fairly well, makes it look pretty decent. So if you can see this, we're going to compare it to the floor corker. Okay, so the floor corker seems to favor one side. Personally, I think I like the hand corker. It's more work because with the floor corker you can actually use all of your body weight to push the cork down, as where the hand corker you should have something under it just in case. It's more accident prone, but I just think it looks better. So we'll come back and put these on after they are all corked. You can stop. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get our tops on. And to shrink these, I use boiling water. You can use a heat gun if you like. I just don't have one. So let's come over here. And there you have it. And we'll come back after we're done with all of them. Take our bottle. I wiped it down just to get all the moisture off from the steam coming up from the boiling water. It also helps to make sure the bottle looks nice and clean. Just gonna set it down. I'm gonna take our label. At the bottom of this label, you may see I've written the month and year and the alcohol percentage. I do that. You don't have to, obviously, but if it's several years down the road, you might want to know how strong it is or when it was made. So we're just going to go ahead and affix the label to the bottle, trying to be as careful as possible so that we have a nice, clean looking, semi-professional looking bottle of wine. Okay, so now we have our bottle, nice professional looking. Let's taste the wine. You can definitely smell the oak. It's beautiful. It's got a good flavor. I wouldn't call it bold, but close. Very delicious. If you're not careful, your friends are going to want some.